All right, this is Pub Politics. Rick Garney here along with Wes from the Republican side, Phil from the Democrat side. Guys, hope you had a great holiday. And we jump right back into work at the Senate because, well, we've got a lot going on here. And it's the headline story is Nikki Haley, DHEC, the big port down there in Savannah, indirectly the port in Charleston. We've talked about it in our newscast on Monday. We mentioned in our newscast earlier tonight as well. There's Governor Haley gave a press conference about this on Monday. There was a big Senate hearing on this earlier today. There's a lot of moving parts here because you've got the economy involved, you've got politics involved, you've got the environment involved. First thing I like to do in a situation like this, I always like to ask for folks who are sitting at home who may not follow this stuff on a daily basis. Phil, I'm going to start with you, and then Wes, you can jump in. Why is this important to people who are, say, watching Pub Politics right now on television?
This is important for all across South Carolina. The Port of Charleston is our driver of our exports out of the state.
It's a big economic engine.
Big economic engine. Yes. About 280,000 jobs all across the state have some sort of tie to the Port of Charleston. And last week, the governor, through her DHEC board, basically granted a water quality permit to allow dredging on the Savannah River so that the Port of Savannah can improve their facilities. And it really puts the Port of Charleston and the state of South Carolina at an economic disadvantage to neighboring Georgia. And it's been called the Savannah River sellout. And it's something that, you know, folks should have a real concern with.
And the controversy is originally the DHEC staff denied the permit. Then the DHEC board came in and overruled that and said it was okay. And there's a question that Governor Haley is facing some critics that there were some maybe political behind-the-scene ramblings. She's getting some political favors from Georgia in order to influence the board. She has denied that, and senators meeting today to try to get to the bottom of it. That pretty much sums it up, Wes, and just your thoughts on the whole controversy before we move on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Savannah port is in direct competition with Charleston. There's also always been talk about building that Jasper port down there in the Hampton-Jasper area that so desperately needs some economic development. This deal completely kills the Jasper deal and could kill Charleston in the long run. The problem is the governor isn't being transparent. She ran on this issue of transparency. They're deleting emails in that office, and I'm beginning to wonder who's got control over there. I don't know if it's her chief of staff or who, but things just aren't smelling right out of that governor's office right now. She needs to come up and answer some questions.
And Rick, it should be noted that in between the time when the DHEC gave the initial denial to when they did a complete 180, Governor Haley did have a fundraiser in Atlanta at a law firm that does port business with a lot of contributors. So it's raising lots of questions whether or not she was bought off.
And the problem isn't necessarily that happened, it's that she's not answering the questions about it. I mean, she's just not being transparent about the entire ordeal, and that's what needs to happen. We need to know exactly what happened to make this be overturned.
You've mentioned this on several of these segments, and I'm sure you've mentioned in other situations about communication problems in that office, and it seems like you bring it up every couple of weeks. Is this a message that, because I'm sure you're not the only one who's saying that, is this a message that they are not receiving? Do they not understand what's going on?
It's very frustrating because Nikki Haley is a great leader. She's got the great ideas that can move this state forward. I mean, she's everything we need, but it's like there's a bunch of children running that governor's office over there, and thus a bunch of children running all the cabinet agencies in this state. She needs some adult supervision in that office instead of hiring a bunch of kids that don't know what they're doing.
In her press conference on Monday, Phil, she stepped up and said, well, listen, everything that the Savannah port, everything that the Georgia wanted, it was on the up and up. You know, we're not going to be underhanded and deny them something. We're going to win by just being better than them. Does that reasoning fly with you?
No, not really, because what Georgia wanted was, and what the South Carolina DHEC board and through Governor Haley rolled over on, was a bunch of technology that is unproven, some concessions that really just sell out the state of South Carolina, hands over, pristine marshland that's going to be ruined now. I think it's just going to kill the environment. I don't think she can. It's amazing how she can keep a straight face and say something like that.
I don't want to underemphasize this. This is bad for the entire state. I mean, this is about as bad as you can get in South Carolina when Savannah takes out the Charleston port. When Savannah becomes overwhelming on Charleston, the entire state's going to suffer. I mean, the port is why we got Boeing and why we get BMW and things like that. If we don't have that port, we don't have anything in this state. If you think economic development and unemployment is bad now, you wait.
But Governor Haley disagrees. In her press conference, she said that we'll just have to be better than Savannah. So how does that happen?
Well, it can't whenever Savannah can have deeper waters and have more ships coming in than the Port of Charleston can. It can't.
I mean, you see it all across the state. This is truly bipartisan. Democrat, Republicans, Charleston, upstate. You saw a lot of tough questions today from Senator Phil Shootman from Greenville, who represents, who's in his district is the BMW plant, where their product moves out of the Port of Charleston. You know, that's a big deal. It really is a statewide issue, and that's why you've got a lot of people who are just up in arms about this completely. Awful decision that the DHEC board has made.
Guys, pub politics this week, the pub version?
We're going to be at the all-local farmers market tomorrow evening at 701 Whaley. Okay. Representative James Smith from here in Columbia is going to be our guest.
That's Wednesday at 6?
6 o'clock.
PubPoliticsLive.com is a website to catch these guys, or every Tuesday night right here on Watch Fox. Guys, thanks again. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, back to you.